Hi, everyone. So I'm just about finished grading your assignments, the mini project from last week. And what I thought I would do is I saw a pattern that people seem to be a little bit confused on exempt and non-exempt. I want to go ahead and create just maybe a quick 2 to 3 minute video that explains the difference. And so that if you did get some things wrong on your assignment, you can maybe better understand it. Now, I did create a video for feedback. I made some assumptions when I made that video that most of us understood exempt versus non-exempt. And so I think I glazed over a few things and then I uploaded the video to your grades. But then as I was grading, I realized that, maybe we need a second to really understand exempt versus non-exempt, because I feel like there's a little bit of confusion here. So let's go ahead and take a trip back in time to the 1930s. So there was a time in this country where employers took advantage of employees. It was during the Great Depression in the 1930s. There were a lot of factories and agricultural companies out there. Basically, what was happening was employers were working their employees to death. Like literally, you probably heard that expression, working them to death, or even paying somebody peanuts. Oh, I get paid peanuts. It's because at one point we didn't have laws. There were no laws that protected workers. And so sometimes they were paid peanuts instead of money. And sometimes they were worked to death. So in 1938, the government stepped in and said, you know what, big business, it's time that we have some protection for our employers or employees. They need protection. You're taking advantage of them. So one of the first things that they created was FLSA, which is the Fair Labor Standards Act. Now, FLSA does a lot of things. One of those is exempt versus non-exempt. So let's go ahead and talk about the difference between exempt and non-exempt. What this law does is it basically says everyone who works in the US is going to get an hourly wage, that the days of working 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week for the same pay, because that's what was happening. They were literally making them work without extra pay. They're saying you're getting $100 a month, regardless if you work 40 hours, 80 hours, it doesn't matter. And so the government stepped in. So they said every single job from here forward will be paid hourly. That's right, business. You now have to start paying your employers or employees. You now have to pay them hourly. In addition to that, you also have to pay them a minimum wage. Oh, and wait, there's one more. Any employee that works more than 40 hours will get paid time and a half. So this is where the standard of living comes in today. We now have these laws that protect us, overtime, minimum wage, things like that. Now, you're probably confused. You're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, every single job in the US has to be paid hourly? Yes, that is a true statement, with a caveat. The caveat is there are some exceptions. So if you think about it like this, always default to hourly unless a job qualifies for an exception. All right, so some of those exemptions include, the executive exemption. Then there's administrative, professional, computer, outside sales, and highly compensated employees. So if a company wanted to pay a marketing director who was making $90,000 a year salary, if they wanted to pay them an hourly wage, they absolutely could. In fact, it's encouraged to pay hourly wages. However, there are those exceptions. So really, if you think about it, there's only a few types of positions that qualify for those exceptions. Now, I went through the different positions in your feedback. I'm not going to go through that now, but I just want you to make sure that it has nothing to do with the amount of hours someone works, whether they get paid an hourly wage or a salary, right? So just because someone works more than 40 does not mean that their position automatically qualifies for salary. In fact, you have to look at these exemptions to see if that's correct. And same thing with under 40. It has nothing to do with that. So I just wanted to make sure that we clear that up. I saw that a lot. Well, if they get paid, they work more than 40 hours, then we're going to pay them salary. That's actually illegal. And that's why we're doing this assignment. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you pay everyone hourly unless they fall under one of these categories. And most of those positions fell under one of these categories, except the administrative assistant, because that administrative assistant did not have any discretion or any sort of management, general business operation role. And also the technician, I can't remember what that was called, but the technician, I think it was an assembly line technician, that fell under blue collar workers. Everything else fell under an exemption. You could either file it under executive, professional, computer, or even outside sales, right? It had its own exemption. The only one that was tricky was the engineer, and it really depended on how you described their role. I hope this was helpful in understanding exempt versus non-exempt. Again, just remember, everyone should be paid hourly unless they fall onto this list. Great. Thanks so much. If you have any other questions, please reach out and let me know. Thank you so much.